Kramatorsk. So I arrived the day before yesterday. And so first evacuation yesterday. Oh, there's some geese, beautiful. And so it was a mother, Irina, her daughter Tanya, and two boys, Mikolai, Kolya, and Alyosha. Three teenagers. They are from Drushkivka, so you might have heard it's 10 kilometers 10 kilometers east of Kramatorsk. Then you have 20 kilometers from Kramatorsk. You have Konstantinivka. You might have heard the Russians just recently said that Konstantinivka was occupied territory, which is not true. It's destroyed, that's for sure, like the Rushkivka, but it's not. It's not occupied. To which Zelensky said, "Okay, if it's occupied territory, Putin won't have any problem to meet me there." So yeah, that's the little story. So the family comes from Drushkivka. They evacuated from there 3 months ago and stayed in Kramatorsk because they didn't know where to go. So time for them to look for another place to rent. In this case, and in fact, they decided to move to Odesa, which is south of the country on the Black Sea. And because there they have the lady has a daughter, Olka, and Olka looked for the place for them to stay. So they called Futurama Kolia. So Futurama is the organization I work with. They do many evacuations of people, families, old people, little farms. So you might have seen from spring the evacuations I did with cows, horses, sheep, or chickens. So yeah, that's what he does. So it's always families who don't have the money really to pay for their own sort of normal moving, So they call these guys, and they're not many to do animals. So yesterday we decided, because Odessa is far, it's like a 13 hours trip. 13 hours trip is, of course, time, but it's also money because of petrol. So they want to optimize as much the space that we have in a van. So often Futurama works with Druzy space. Druzy space, it means this front space. And they do evacuation for animals, cats and dogs. I don't think I've ever seen anything else but cats and dogs. So we decided once we've loaded, the furniture of that family, we'd use the space left to add on some dogs and cats. And so yesterday morning we arrived at 7 to start loading under the rain, which was great. Terrific rain. And so at some stage, I just realized we were not going to have enough space at all for the animals. But now the animals had families in Odessa that were waiting for them, so we decided to go with a second van. So Sasha from Futurama came with me, but he came later, time to organize logistics. And so yeah. So the family got in the sprinter. I have a sprinter here. We loaded everything, and yeah, I think that from Kramatorsk to Dnipro, it's like 5 hours, roughly, 5, 6, yeah. The main change since spring, so a month and a half ago, the main change is that the roads were really good. The roads were really good. Like now, I'm driving on one of them. Really good, you see. I'm not even moving, no holes and stuff. Not the whole way is like this, but so they started redoing the roads as I left, and everything is perfect. Almost everything is perfect. So yeah, during winter, you have lots of rain, the snow, and so on. Plus, of course, drones that fall on it. Plus, of course, the big trucks, the big military trucks, and sometimes different military vehicles. So that really damages the road. And no, they've redone everything. So wonderful. They're great, these Ukrainians. The other thing that changed is, well, few of the petrol stations were damaged by drones, were damaged, completely burnt by drones, and much more than a month and a half ago. And the last thing is that yesterday at some stage I realized that I had been driving for 3 hours under anti-drone nets. So anti-drone nets are, I was asked to explain a little bit more some of the stuff that for me are obvious, but of course you don't live it and you don't know it necessarily. So anti-drone nets are fishing nets. Um, Here for the little stories, Brittany is sometimes known by people because they gave a lot of the fishing nets that are used. So there is like nets that are put on top of high posts. They're probably like something like 5 meters high, and they on both sides of the road, and they're covered with these nets that make like a tunnel. And so um, the idea is for the roads to be safe for vehicles, so that if a drone falls on the road, well, it's before that it hits the nets and does less damages if it explodes, or does less damages on the vehicles. So it's a very good system, but it is a really hard job to put on, and so they really put them on when too much drones have been hitting roads. So like you don't find them on the west of the country at all. You find them only in Donbass, and like the other day when I came from Kharkiv, from out of Kharkiv to Kramatorsk, it was full of it was everything was under nets. I invite you to have a look at a map and zoom in the east of the country, so you understand which cities I'm talking about, and visualizing them. So yeah, I think these were the three main things. And yeah, I drove for 3 hours under it. So we went with the little family on our way to Odessa. Well, after Krivirich, on the way, like the last 6 hours, we decided not to go to Mykolaiv, which was a quicker way, but going to Mykolaiv at night was a bit dangerous, so we decided to go further north and then go straight south on smaller roads, smaller cities, smaller towns, really. Which means that also we actually were driving on really bad roads. Again, big holes, little, like Waverly roads, which are terrible because you're constantly just blah 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 blah. Which is at some stage, the boys told me we have fragile items at the back. So yeah, I understood I had to be careful. But the thing is, I couldn't really go much slower. So at some stage, I heard, there was agitation in the van, and I heard the mom started to cry, and so we stopped, and she said to me, "I have crystal glasses at the back of the truck, and my computer," she said, And so there was a lot of emotions because you can imagine, I mean, you see the back of my truck, it's a Sprinter, it's not, it's big for a truck, but for a van, but it's all of their life is here at the back, you know. They moved completely, they change their life completely. Sometimes families they go with few bags. They get a little bit more when here with the van, but still it's nothing. It's nothing. They start from scratch, and so for her having the family glasses, the crystal from her family broken was yeah, it was very sentimental, So then we looked at the glasses and the computer, and everything was in order. So we went back in the van, and after a little while, I started her telling, "Oh, but the computer, because the road was still shitty." So she was saying, "Oh, the computer got out of Druszkivka, got out of Kramatorsk, and in this road it's gonna be broken." And so I had to explain to her boys, who translated to her boys because they were, sitting next to me. She was behind. I had to explain, I am not doing this because I'm not cautious, or because I don't care, or because I just want to go home quickly, or to go to bed quickly. But it's because we were arriving after curfew, and after curfew means only military cars can drive. Um, and so it means that, well, not that the Russians really care if they hit civilians. We've seen it, how many times. But if you're a car after curfew, it means you're military. And when you're in the countryside, there is not many cars driving, so it means you're alone. You're a perfect target. So I said to the lady, I actually, have to continue to drive fast so that we arrive safe. It's for safety. We don't stay too long being the only truck driving. And so once we arrived, she understood, and once we arrived, we checked the glasses, we checked the computer, crystal and computer were clear, so that was fine, she was happy, and we moved, we carried the washing machine, which was a big worry of her, because it's heavy, and so she didn't know how to do, and I said, don't worry, I'll help your boy, and so yeah, the family arrived, and they were very happy to see Olga, the daughter, and yeah, another family in her new home being able to start anew. And then I went to a place that the guys from Druzy Space they found for me to stay for the night, a friend of theirs. We managed to find each other. There was no more network, so impossible to follow a GPS. It was 2 o'clock in the morning, so we just, I don't know. This morning, the lady, Luda, she told me, I don't know how we got you here in this house, because it was funny. But we had breakfast, and she was asking a lot of questions about, evacuations of people, and she was saying, my gosh, these poor people who have to leave all of their house and all of their stuff. Yeah, she was, asking lots of questions. And then she said to me, her husband was an artist, a sculptor, and she showed me her garden. And she had these beautiful tattoos on her arms that, I had seen yesterday even. And here she explained that her and her daughters had drawn them, so they were very fine and beautiful with lots of colors. And before I left, she said, come, I show you, you bring some salo. Salo is like some lard, not much meat, a lot of fat, smoky, very, very good. And she said, you bring some back to the people over there in Kramatorsk, and you give them. So now here you can see I'm driving in sunflower calendula fields and beautiful nature, and there is a lovely smell of this lard in the truck. I close the door if it's day.